So welcome to another video. I'm back at my favorite spot, or one of my favorite spots, at Cypress Falls. You'll probably see a lot of these videos in this location because it is one of my favorite go-to locations close to where I live. And of course, if you can see, as you saw, like with the B-roll, I mean, it's a beautiful spot. It's a little bit overcast today, which is really quite nice. Makes for just a beautiful, beautiful scene. The river, the creek is just raging right now, so there's lots of water. So what I thought I would do today is I thought I would do a comparison between two different lenses that I use quite regularly. So firstly, using the 16-35 f4, which is my wide angle lens, and that's what most people usually use. And then I would grab my 70-200 2.8, which is my sort of semi-telephoto lens. It's a long lens, and I would put that on and take a couple of photos with this lens and show you the difference. What I find with the really wide angle lens, the 16-35, 16 is huge. It's really, really wide. So basically when you start looking at this scene, it just basically kind of infills everything. And so in this little zone here, there's a couple of trees on the one side that look really good. And so I'm shooting vertical, but I'll probably switch over to horizontal. But unfortunately, it's a little bit dangerous to come right down into this little zone here. So I tend to stand back just for safety. And then what happens is that you get this foreground, and the foreground's not that interesting. But the wide angle is really nice. It does fill everything, or just fills the frame with everything. But what's really cool is that when you zoom in to, like, say 70 or 200 with this lens, you can really just start picking apart all these little zones. Like that one tree as you're seeing here, a couple of these fallen trees that are just leaning over the waterfall and over the creek with the moss, with that nice light. I mean, it's just beautiful. So using the 70-200 and punching right in on that particular little zone there with the waterfall behind it is just a really beautiful scene, both vertical and horizontal. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot a couple of photos with this 16-35, the wide angle, and then I'll switch over to the 70-200 and take some photos with this one, same location, and I'll compare the two and you can see the difference. I do find that it's really helpful to have a couple of different options for lenses. My wide angle is probably what I use the most, but having a 70-200, something that will just punch in, zoom in, and give you a different view is really, really helpful. So let's get a couple of shots. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm actually zoomed all the way in at 35 millimeters. And you can see that there's still a lot of foreground here in this particular shot. And if I zoom back out 16 millimeters, there's way more foreground and the waterfall actually starts to look really small. And that's where having the longer lens is really nice because it gives you a chance to really punch in and get that really tight shot. But here, I'm gonna get a couple shots here. with the polarizer at 35 millimeters. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice shot. You'll see this one. I'll show it right now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip the camera over. Go with the horizontal framing. Still at 35. I'm just going to level the camera out. Now I'm going to twist the polarizer. The polarizer will then saturate the color naturally and cut some glare. And what I'll do is I'll probably crop this photo in a little bit in post, but let's get a shot here. Nice. A little bit underexposed, so I think I'm going to bring this up to 1.6 of a second. Let this focus. Okay, so now I have the 70-200, and it's a very much compressed look. So this one, this is at just about 200. See what that looks like. Yeah, pretty nice. A little overexposed. Gonna use this polarizer to just tone it down a little bit. And bring this up to F10. Yeah, so with my exposure settings, I'm keeping my exposures at the base ISO, so 100 ISO. And I'm gonna be using about F8 to F10, and probably, you know, just faster than a second. So 1.6 of a second, not quite 1 second. This looks like. Nice. Yeah, beautiful shot. Yeah, it's a really nice shot. I'll show you this one now. Yeah, not easy. Yeah, so what I struggle with, and this is just kind of like a little bit of a thought, is when I'm shooting videos, like what I'm doing for YouTube, trying to teach a little bit of what I'm doing, showcase my, just the way I kind of go through my process, makes it very hard to actually get good photos. So it may seem like some of these photos are decent, but if I wasn't shooting the video, I'd probably go right in there and I'd be really making sure that I'm getting these great shots. But because I'm shooting video and then trying to shoot still camera and it's a lot of stuff going on. But I'm trying to get better at it. So I think like anything, you just do more of it, and hopefully you just get better and better. Especially with like the talking to the camera, trying to use my hands and things like that. It's always a bit difficult. It's not the easiest for me, but I'm really hoping that you can see what I'm doing here and you can learn a little bit about this process, and why you would have one particular lens or one setup over another one. I hope that you learn a little bit about my process. And in this case, using two different lenses to really see different perspectives within the same scene. I think that's kind of the main takeaway here, is that if you shoot wide, you're going to get a super wide angle shot. It's going to look very different than a telephoto shot or a really narrow angle shot with like a zoom lens like a 70-200. I think that's kind of the main point with this video, is showing the two different options and how it looks. Yeah, so I think yeah, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel if you're getting anything out of this video. This is more of a photo education based video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.